Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a paid advertising. TheOnlyGround.com, the THE onlyground.com is one of the most amazing places for information that I consistently go to. If you guys want to have conversations about our old interviews or even topics that we don't discuss, the group of people that are on the onlyground.com message boards are some of the most brilliant that I have ever come across. Those little like knick-knack facts that we get here and there, that's where a lot of it comes from. Please check out the link in the bio.
Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm here with the host of the show, Mike Davis. He is the MMA detective. I am Herb Dean's dog sitter, and we have a special episode today. Returning to the show, a true MMA historian and member of the UFC's promotional machine throughout the golden years of MMA, once again, Ant Evans. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for inviting me back. Usually I don't get invited back to anywhere, so it's great.
So, Ant, in regards to like all of our guests, obviously the fighters are a draw with our audience, but the people behind the scenes, we get like an extraordinary like amount of push for more of the behind the scenes stuff. And your last interview, like the amount of feedback that Joey and I got from like the normal kind of person that comments was definitely, the volume was turned up.
Oh, nice. That's good to hear. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it not all relatives of mine? It was like, other people?
No, it was like, we need more. We need 15 episodes of this guy, which is kind of year. Yeah, really. I mean, you're at the golden era, like where you were when you were driving, that media ship, and you were kind of figuring out your way within.
Back when it was fun, yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, and like if we're getting off topic here, if you look around 2003, right before The Ultimate Fighter, that office life sucked there. It sucked. It was chaotic. It was poisonous. It was toxic. It was lots of finger pointing. And then after The Ultimate Fighter, like this is like the coolest time to have worked with the UFC when you were there.
Well, especially in the UK, because there was only like, there was like 4, then like 10 of us. Marshall Zelaznik, who led the team with Jackie Promotion, like that, we were very aware that it was a little different in the US. There was a lot of backstabbing and people politicking for promotions, which I guess there isn't any kind of corporate culture. But yeah, I was well aware that I was in a really, really good time to be part of the UFC for sure.
But your voice also, like the stories coming out of the fighters from the UK at this period of time, you guys were getting like a very good chunk of opportunity to push those guys.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's always pluses and minuses. Yes, like I wasn't, when I first joined the UFC in late 2006, early 2007, I wasn't immediately working with Chuck Liddell, T.O. Ortiz. But I had a generational talent in terms of charisma in Michael Bisping. And then within a year, we had another generational talent in terms of charisma, Dan Hardy. I mean, it's a PR guy, you can't ask for, you couldn't dream of having 2 better guys than that. And also, like, I had an advantage over my colleagues in the US is all I really had to promote was those guys. So I could tell in deep stories, I could take Bisping out, and it's no secret how you get, press on the side. You take him out for a steak. You take him out to a really expensive restaurant and, they get to meet Bisping and they get to know who he is. And they hear all about his fiance and their 2 kids at the time. And they meet Dan Hardy and they hear about now his hopes and dreams and they get to know him. And so they start to root for him and that starts, leaking into their copy. and all of a sudden they want to cover him more and they care about his wins and his losses, and you can't do that with 600 people. Which is when people say the UFC can't create stars now. It's like nothing on earth can create 600 stars. There's no suspect. There's not 600 stars in Hollywood. There's not 600 stars in rock music. There ain't 600 stars in anything you care to mention. There just isn't. There's only so much attention. But when I was, back in the time we were talking about 2007, 2008, I had Bisping and Dan Hardy and a handful of others, and so I could focus on them. I could do there'd be someone like I would know. I won't name names, but there was a writer who just had a personal tragedy where one of his family members had passed away to cancer. So I would have a fighter who I knew that had happened to as well, and I'd kind of get them together because they got like a shared history. Like you can kind of start matching stories to the reporters, and that's when you get really good PR.
And the chess match of a legitimate A-level PR person, those little moves like that pay off big time. And you know what? It's closure for both guys. Like on top of it, like it's therapeutic. And I think the moves like that, they're kind of like the unsung heroes of kind of making a promotion move forward. That I don't think it gets enough credit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people and that's thanks to some, to the kind of like Twitterization of what MMA media is, and it's not just MMA, it's everything. Like you get I can never remember these dickheads' names, when it comes time to bury them, but that's how much I care about them.
It's awful. It's awful today. I think we can universally agree.
Yeah, they'll get like, that's not journalism, that's PR. I'm like, well, the best PR is also getting journalists to do their job, give them the tools to tell the best stories they possibly can.
But when you were doing it, you were piecing everything together to where now it's like you either toe the company line or you can ride out. It's kind of like they're there for tickets.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been
in certain instances.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I was a journalist, when I was a boxing journalist, I wanted to go cover Felix Tito Trinidad.
Yeah.
Because he was a cool fighter and he had great stories, and I wanted to come from England to New York, and I wanted someone else to pay for it. So I had a good relationship with Trinidad's team. Great relationship. Part of that was because I wanted to be able to tell an editor, hey, you send me, I'll get all this insider stuff that no one else will get. That's just the kind of cost of doing business.
Speaking of which, all right, so we ended the interview last time closing out 2007.
Yeah.
The focal point of this, obviously outside of conversation, is going to be 2008. And when the year 2007 ends, you had Roger Huerta versus Clay Guida, which, I mean, although it's the last fight of the year, was absolutely fight of the year candidate. Unbelievable. But right around that time, Roger Huerta, like, he started having issues with the UFC. Like the relationship was eroding, and his main complaint was, I do too much press and it's affecting my training.
Which is bullshit. He done fucked himself, that kid. I like Roger very much, but all he had to do was toe the line for a year or two, and he would have been set for life. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. Yeah, I can tell you, so we were very, very selective who I say I'm friends with. I was friendly with Roger for a year or so.
And let me set the table. Very good looking kid, speaks fluent Spanish, which is a market the UFC had not made any leeway into, and he could fight his ass off.
I mean, you say good looking. I'll tell you how good
model.
I'll tell you how good looking is. So I was at the hotel bar when we just standing around talking, girls formed a line to talk to him.
Huh.
They formed a queue to talk to this guy. I'm like, I knew you were a good-looking dude, mate, but I guess you're that good-looking. They literally formed a line because it was in England, so they were very polite about it, very polite line. They didn't like mob around, but yeah, they literally formed the line. Yeah,
Incredible.
So, do you think it was bad advice he was getting from management,
I mean, look,
or
it came from a genuine place. He was like, I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated. How come I'm not famous? How come I'm not rich? How come I'm getting paid what I'm getting paid. It came from an honest place, but he just had to be smart about it. Keep on doing it. Be the look. Dan Hardy took the opposite. Dan Hardy. Dan probably he had his big falling out with the UFC and years later, but for a long time, he had a job for life. He was continuing, and Dan and Roger were probably about the same level. Dan I'll be clear, he earned and fought a title shot, and he fought for the world title. He just happened to GSP, but he did win 4 in a row against really good guys. Roger didn't do that, but I think he maybe could have. But I don't think Roger Huerta was ever going to be a UFC champion. But he could have had a Dan Hardy level career. He could have been the Spanish language commentator for UFC for
today?
Today, like the next 20, 30 years, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I met him he fought regionally here in the Chicagoland area a couple of years prior to the UFC, and I actually have video of me talking to him.
Yeah.
And like, I speak fluent Spanish. I lived in Mexico Mexico for a few years. His Spanish was legit.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
that's
when
that's how we knew.
Yeah.
He came to me we were in England. He goes, "How far away is Spain?" I'm like, "It's less than an hour and a half." And he goes, "It's that close, dude. I've never been." I was like, "Oh, do you want to figure something out?" So I put together some BS PR to do in Spain for him, so
That's
I can
cool.
fly
That's
him
cool.
I can fly him on the company dollar, with a per diem and a hotel.
Nice.
I was like, do one interview and fuck around and just have a few days and between me and you. So, and a lot of like some of the girls who long since haven't worked for the UFC even longer than me, like they did stuff like that for him, like PR wise. So when he started publicly saying I do too much PR, well, who did it upset? Well, people like me. I'm like, really? I did all that. No, I did this for you. I did that for you. You asked to come. Like he was in England for UFC 80 because was it UFC 80? It might have been UFC 89. No, it was London. So
80 was in the UK. Yeah,
it was UK, but it was Newcastle, and this was so it was 85. It was 85 because
85 was in London. Yeah.
So it was in London, and he wanted to come to London. So I made sure he was the guest. He was the guest fighter. And the gig of the guest fighter is you get a per diem, and the per diem is just pay for your meals. You get your flights, your accommodation, stuff like that. We try and get you a signing or two that are paid, but you basically get a busman's holiday. You get to go to a more exotic place, or you get to go to Sydney, you get to go to wherever it is. You don't have to pay. I mean, you get to stay there a few days on the company dime and hang out.
Did you two ever have a conversation about just maybe how to handle this properly, or was that just kind of out of bounds for you?
I never got to him. I wasn't there when he started, just burying the UFC at the press conference and just digging the hole more and more. But I know my US counterparts were there, and I got texts, and it's like, oh my God, he's still digging. He's still digging. Like,
He took that Tito Ortiz route.
Yep.
Yeah, and it didn't work out for Tito.
No.
But Tito was invited back twice. But again, Tito, it could have been so much. It could have been so much different. Tito didn't earn more money because he did that.
No. No, you're right.
He could have ended up with one of those Forrest Griffin jobs for sure if he just knew when to shut up.
There's probably a universe where I'm still at the UFC. I don't think I would have put up with what it's become politically. I'd probably throw up in my mouth every time I walked in the office. But like, there's definitely I wasn't happy with what the UFC were paying me, and I let them know about it. It's okay. It's okay to take a stand. But I think like with someone like with Tito, hey, he had other opportunities. He did pro wrestling, he did the movies and stuff. Roger, it was basically it. You know, that
You
was
know,
it.
the UFC PI in Mexico City.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much he could have done. Like seriously, like you say, like he could literally be commentating. You know, Noche UFC. He could be front and center doing all of that right now.
Yeah. So like the Spanish commentary, I've got, I really enjoy the Spanish language. And when Erica Montoya, it was Erica Montoya and Carlos Diaz. That was like your front line of the Spanish commentary
Yeah,
team. Carlos Diaz, phenomenal Spanish. Erica Montoya, like second generation Mexican Spanish. Like, oof, no. And yeah, no, Huerta, like a big ball drop.
yeah,
Another thing in 2007, which we didn't get to, after we kind of got lost in conversation, but there was an incident in 2007 where it was at UFC 72. Marcus Davis had to change his nickname due to the political climate within Northern Ireland.
yeah. That was me.
Yeah.
That was
That
me.
was you.
Yeah, yeah,
The Irish hand grenade, right?
It's,
Yeah.
that was me. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. People. It's one of the things like you just like. It's so weird. Like I remember when Conor McGregor, who not known for being, delicate with his words, but he said something that I can't remember the words, but he said something about like around Floyd Mayweather, which was any American, like, and I know I'm not American, but I've lived here now for 14 years, I know is racially charged. Well, in Ireland, it's not racially charged, but they're like, well, Conor should damn well know that that's a racial term in the US. I'm like, oh, that's funny because like we came across this multiple times in the UFC, and I would say, hey, you can't say that in the UK.
I remember this.
Yeah, you can't say that in the UK. It's like that's like Irish hand grenade. It's like people are still killed
Yeah.
over this shit. There literally been murders that I sent them an article. Like it was like literally 3 months ago, someone was killed over exactly this. We're not having the Irish hand grenade. It might be fun and cute in Boston,
Yeah.
weird place where everybody thinks they're Irish. When you ask them the capital of Ireland, they don't know. But that's how Irish.
I'm from the south side of Chicago,
Yeah,
and it is actually, there's more Irish here than
yeah,
there is in Boston and New York.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're not calling it. It's like you're not
Yeah.
doing. And like I spoke to Marcus, and Marcus and me had a great relationship. Like I did actually I ghost wrote columns for him, so I really got to know him really well. But I explained it to him, and he was like, "Oh, I had no idea." I was like, "It's okay." I goes, "Well, what else?" I was like, "How about Celtic Warrior?" Well, that's what Steve Collins used to call himself. Because that's so cool. Well, I'll be the Celtic Warrior here. So like Irish hand grenade. I was like, "No, absolutely not, absolutely not." And then who was the guy years later was called the Pikey. I'm like, that's like the N word of the traveling community. It's like we ain't either.
Right. When I was in London in 2017, it was United Kingdom. The word pikey came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Sweeney, world champion bare knuckler, traveler. And I heard them using the word pikey, and I'm like, oh, okay. I used it, and it was like they all stopped and looked at me, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Yeah,
This is about to get bad.
yeah, it's like I was just in the meeting. I was like, it's a racial slur. I was like,
Yes.
some people say it isn't, but other people are if you put on a rap music, there's N word that and N word this. But I'm telling you, like he's not a gypsy. He's not Romanov. We ain't doing this. We're not. And they're like, well, we don't know what it is. I'm like, I know you're Americans and you think, the rest of the world is like a little island just off the coast of New York. I was like, no, we ain't doing it. And I remember what I said. I was like, are we going to call him like Rashad the Digger Evans? I was like, no, it's horrific. That's
Horrific.
what we're doing
Yeah.
here. I was like, I'm telling you, to these people, it's a astonishing racial slur on the exact level as the word I
Is
just
that? Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no, that's how serious. And only then did like the giggle stop because I dropped the N bomb. So yeah, that was
I mean, it's true. I mean, it was explained to me in person. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
it's like, well, we're travelers. We can use that. I'm like, oh,
exactly. It's exactly like that. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
just like with African Americans, it's like, well, we'll take your slur and we'll reclaim it and use it ourselves. That isn't carte blanche for everybody else just to start dropping M-bombs.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just respect, general respect.
Yeah, and it's like, why are we arguing? That's like, you've got someone from
Yeah.
that part of the world telling you that this is a problem. Why do I now need to back it up with all this evidence? Just take my word for it. You pay me for my advice. I'm here giving it to you.
Mm-hmm. So January 17th is the day Affliction flew Fedor and Randy Couture in for a meeting. They were Fedor, right? They were originally one of the UFC sponsors at this point. And it was kind of like the rumor was, oh my God, it's happening. What were the conversations like around the office around that?
I mean, everybody knew it was just a way for them to tell T-shirts, but they'd already been agitating about, running their own events. And that's the thing, like, I'm friends with Luke Thomas, and he says and we get into it every now and then. He always says things like, do people really think it's just a bunch of guys in Las Vegas who know how to run a successful promotion? No. I'm like, well, that's true. It's also true that you can't get any random fans with money and run a successful promotion. This is actually hard. It's not book a venue, book a fight, get somebody to put out the chairs, show up in a nice suit and big time like Bjorn Brebney used to, and go, hey, where's all the fans? There's a lot of work, a lot of work to this.
Yeah.
It ain't an easy way to make a living. It is not an easy way to make a living. And
in
they thought it was an
scaling,
easy way to make a living. But we knew they were going to do something like that.
Scaling the UFC at this point too, like even prior to I'd say maybe like 2005, 2006, even scaling it. It's probably like 3, 4, 5 people in the world that could scale it.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It ain't easy. And it's not something you do on this as a side hustle.
No, it's not from the hip. It's not from the hip. It's with data.
Sell your t-shirts and your jeans for which, hey, you might, hey, it ain't easy to sell t-shirts for $70 20 years ago with like that look like, somebody dug up a graveyard and you're like, that's like basically like ripping off Iron Maiden like designs.
Deep Purple in a graveyard.
I'm sure that took a lot of smarts too.
Yeah.
But it's a different set of smarts from doing this. And they thought they could just wander in, overpay people. I mean, God bless them, pals of mine like Josh Barnett got paid a fortune by them.
Yeah.
God bless. But yeah, I mean, it's like almost like a wealth redistribution. It was amazing, but some of these.
Yeah.
But it was, we loved it. I mean, look, I got to be honest, like in the office when they cancelled the third event, we're all like giggling and high-fiving. It was great.
Did you guys know that the commission was going to Josh Barnett's gym to get a drug sample?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what that. It was like unheard of at that time. It was like, no, you're gonna get this at weigh-ins. Yeah. Oh, you're at my gym and you're here and like now? Yeah. Not good.
I always say to Joe, I have had the balls to say to her face, it's like, those steroids you were taking. I was like, you should have got your money back because I never noticed the difference.
Yeah, there's no argument. You can't argue. Yeah. So we had Tom Atencio on. He was one of our first like 50 guests. And what's that?
What's he doing these days?
So he had a real successful business in California, sold his house, moved to the Houston area. And he's got like a new t-shirt line called Gas and Grit, and he's tied in with like motocross and he's living a good life.
There you go. He's still good at that shit. Well, what he wasn't good at was promoting.
Yeah. So he claimed in our interview that his belief was that one of the attorneys on their legal team was also working for the UFC.
Yeah, that sounds like horseshit to me. Like UFC is completely buttoned up with those type of sharp practices. Like UFC does not open the door to that type of. Yeah, I mean that's espionage essentially. That's business. It's industrial. I think it's actually called industrial espionage. I mean, you're a former cop, Mike. Yeah, UFC does not open the when Dana and Lorenzo and Frank bought the UFC, they inherited a ton of shitty deals, like really, really bad deals, bad card deals, bad video game deals. They honored all of them.
Zions.
Yeah, they
Zions
honored
was the
all of them.
biggest.
Yeah,
Zions was the biggest
yeah.
shit deal.
They honored all of them because they don't want this kind of stuff. So the idea, I mean, Tom, God bless you. You know, good luck with the new T-shirts. No, but if you think the UFC did anything other than compete with you on the same day and was doing all skullduggery, and that's why you lost, no, mate, you lost because you weren't very good at this, and you basically went in and just did a wealth redistribution where you overpaid people to grotesque amounts.
Oh, if you look at the lineup for Affliction 1,
Yeah.
I I can't imagine what that bill looked like.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was public, and you know how much they paid for was it? It was Megadeth. It wasn't even Metallica. It was Megadeth.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they pay like they got just for them to get booed.
So, and around this time, so Joey and I, although we live in different parts of the country, we were doing the same thing every weekend. And we're at local events. And Joey, without having this conversation before, everybody with any common sense was MMA event, and then we're gonna have a live band. Everybody's just like, this has been done. Like on lower levels, and it doesn't work. And now you're trying to do it in an arena that's definitely not going to work.
Yeah, doesn't work. And yeah, I mean, there was. Remember the Super Fight League in India? Remember that?
It was, yes. Yeah, it was like the cell phone guy or the Coca-Cola. Was it the Coca-Cola guy or the cell phone guy of India?
Sanjay Dutt, who was like basically like the Brad Pitt of Bollywood. I think he went to prison for a long time, not long after. But and then some like quadrillionaire who was married to like I don't know, the Taylor Swift of India, and they did the same thing. They booked the biggest musical acts in India, you know, that part of the world. And then they had Super Fight League on first, but it was the opposite. People booed all the way through the MMA and then loved the concerts.
You know, Vince McMahon tried this with like Run DMC at the WrestleMania, and that didn't work either. So why are we still trying to do this?
Even the DX band playing DX's song were booed like shit. You know, like people don't want it. People don't go to you don't go to a restaurant to see live, you know, a sporting event. You don't go to a sporting event to see a concert. It's like, it's not hard. It's like, what are you doing?
No. I mean, it was a palatable volume of people going, bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just didn't listen. Yeah. When Tom says, I believe one of our attorneys used to work or worked for them, was being duplicitous.
At the same time, I'm telling you, there's no way they would have okayed that.
To play devil's advocate, your attorney got bullied and embarrassed, and it had his face rubbed in shit. That's what happened. You had attack dogs having their way with a little bit of a poodle. That's, to me, that's what it kind of looks like. Yeah. I mean, the UFC legal doesn't. You don't want to get tangled up in that.
I think the first. I mean, I come from boxing. Like I was sued by Frank Warren. That's when I knew I'd become a big deal in boxing. When you get a rip from Frank Warren, you know you've arrived. But it's like, no, boxing's litigious. You know, it's the UFC, Zuffa UFC. I don't think they sued anyone until it was Wanderlei Silva. And that was only because he was saying that UFC fights were fixed. And obviously that affected Lorenzo and Frank's gaming license. The UFC was not in the game of, they would send legal letters, C&Ds, you know. I mean, occasionally I would come across people claiming to have the Octagon and call themselves Ultimate Fighting. And I'd send an email over to Mike Mercer and, okay, another one, you know, we've got to protect our brand. But in terms of filing and going to court, UFC isn't about that. Or it certainly wasn't for the first 20 years of the new UFC.
So Joey, there was, and this is way off topic, there was a guy in Iran that had UFC Iran. And it was essentially he would be gathering people from the street, have them beat the shit out of each other, like on like wrestling mats. And like he would like post results in broken English on what was known as the underground forum.
Right.
It went on for a couple years before the UFC's like, and I really think people in the office were like, he's doing what? And then they would like read his update from his event, and they got such laughs out of it. They left him alone for a long time. I really do think that. Yeah.
Probably right. Probably happened like that. Yeah.
So either way, UFC 80, January 19, 2008, you're pulling into the United Kingdom, a place you call home. And the original interim title switched to the official title after Sherk got popped with steroids and was stripped. So BJ Penn versus Joe Stevenson became a main title fight rather than an interim title.
Yeah.
So that was another duty that you had to feed the press to keep everybody on the same page.
Yeah, I mean that was for a long. We got that fight pretty late. Like we were struggling. So like Joe Silva kind of spoiled us. I mean we had the first ever Pride versus UFC unification at UFC 75. And then UFC 80 is getting closer and closer and closer, and I think at one point it was going to be Brandon Vera versus someone. It was pretty dire. I'm like, this ain't the biggest arena in the UK, Newcastle Arena, but it's big. And I always felt like tremendous responsibility, like to sell out. And it's really like because Bisping, he always felt tremendously responsible for stuff selling out. Truth is, we could both put our thumb on the scale, but it's a machine. You either sell out as it's like you win as a team, lose as a team when it comes to selling tickets and stuff. But I remember around early Christmas, so like like kind of like late November, calling Joe Silva saying, "Bro, what we got?" He goes, "I'm struggling. Get you a main event." He goes, "I know it's important. I'm struggling." And then couldn't have been happy with a BJ Penn fight. Couldn't have been happy with that.
Yeah, it was Sean Sherk versus Hermes Franco, where they both tested positive. And I think Sherk actually got redeemed of that later on, but it costed him a fortune.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think, like, who knows, that was especially with, with the whole USADA and how draconian they were, like how many careers they've done folks. Like Jon Jones. Jon Jones, no angel. Me and John have had our ups and downs. I don't believe he was cheating. I don't, the picograms and all that bullshit. I just like.
What's crazy? Ben Rothwell. We gotta get a part 2 with him. I remember specifically Ben Rothwell saying, and there he was wagging his finger in my face. You need to test 0, and just was like talking to Ben. Jeff Novinsky was talking to Ben like he was a child, and Ben said, "I had just as much in me as Jon Jones."
Yeah.
I got feelings about Jeff Novinsky, but this is about you, not him. The UK, where do you put that in regards to the UFC's audience? I mean, United States, number 1. Is it tied with Canada? Is it tied with Australia? Is it number 2, 3, or 4 at this point?
Oh, it's probably number 2. It's probably number 2.
Really?
At that mark, yeah. At that time, yeah. In terms of so it was hard because it was. I mean, I remember conversations with like sports editors saying, "Okay, you've just had David Haye at the O2 Arena, or you've just had Amir Khan at the O2 Arena, and they only."
Oh, Khan was great.
Yeah, you only filled out the lower bowl though. We sold it out in 7 minutes with Michael Bisping, and obviously I would kind of like I wouldn't go out of my way to explain the UFC whole card sells out. I would say Bisping, because what I want him to do is cover Bisping. And if they covered Bisping, they'd have to cover Anderson Silva because he was a champion. And if they covered Anderson Silva, a champion, they cover the middleweight champion, they cover the heavyweight champion, cover the heavyweight champion, they cover all the champions. That's. And I'm like, you won't cover Michael Bisping, but you cover Amir Khan. And he can't sell half the arena. Not even half. I was like, what's going on here? It's, everybody knows who Amir Khan is. I was like, everyone knows who Michael Bisping is. I was like, I don't know who everyone is, but clearly twice as many everyone
More everyone.
Michael than know what
Yeah.
he. Like by every measurable sense, what are you talking about? That is like just vacuous. Even with BBC, they do this annual vote called the Sports Personality of the Year. I called them up. I think it was around about this time, at the end of 2008, and I was like, "Hey, Michael Bisping. I think he went 3-0 that year or something like that. First UFC, first British fighter to headline a UFC. I was like, can you at least have him in the audience? They're like, we can give him one ticket. I was like, he can't even come with his girlfriend. We can give him one ticket. And I was like, can he get a mention? Like, look, I'm telling you, like, this is like a 2-hour show. They talk about women's golf, tiddlywinks, chess, anyone from Britain who was vaguely competitive in any sport, Dungeons and Dragons probably was in one year, anything they can claim as a sport they would feature, but they wouldn't feature Bisping. And that was the kind of culture I was putting my head against. But yeah, with having BJ Penn for the hardcore fans was like, holy shit, we can go to see BJ Penn live. And
He was so special in his prime.
Yeah, it's so terrible what's befallen him since. But
he and I have a mutual friend, and I think I'm going to reach out to him and say, hey, man, just give me a couple hours of BJ, only MMA. Maybe reset him, kind of get him back into it. No conspiracy stuff. I'll send it to you. If you want me to publish it, cool. If not, hey, that's cool as well. I won't. I think I don't know if he's not surrounded by good. Social media isn't helping. The comments on social media are just pushing him and pushing him. It's not good.
Much less BJ Penn ain't helping anyone.
No. UFC 81, Randy Couture turns down a bout with Nogueira. The relationship between the UFC and him, obviously, he was at the Affliction photo shoot, isn't very good. You guys pulling with the main event of Tim Sylvia versus Nogueira. And on the undercard is Frank Mir versus Brock Lesnar. Holy shit. Huge. This is the year where the UFC, I think they've got 2 or 3 events in their top 10 pay-per-view buys ever.
Yeah. You felt the energy building. You felt less resistance when you were talking to the ESPNs and the Yahoos, the CBSs. You felt it was easier to fill arenas. It was the day one sales were getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, we really felt the momentum building around that time. Really felt it.
So Lesnar jumped the rail in 2007 to tell Dana he was serious about fighting for you guys, and now here he is.
Yeah, and I was within earshot of some of that.
Really?
Yeah. I was trying to get to Dana because I wasn't sure, because Dana didn't. I mean, don't know if he does now because it's the same company, but I don't think he would have known who Brock Lesnar was. I honestly didn't know, and I would, especially in the UK, like if David Hay was out, I'd be like, David Hay, cruiserweight world champion, big UFC.
Yeah. Good move.
Like, you have to do that because he beats a lot of people. How can nobody knows that many people?
Yeah, good move.
You want him to be able to know who he's talking to. So I was going to say like Brock Lesnar's, he's WWE guy, he's legit. No, but I didn't need to. I think Jim Byrne had already taken care of that. Jim Byrne was he actually was head of PR for WWE before he came over to UFC, and I remember Dana. One thing I did hear him say is like the UFC. Hey man, UFC is not the place to learn how to fight. Go win 3 or 4 somewhere else. This is before the Contender Series, before the relationships with the LFAs of the world, and Brock goes, I'm either good at this or I'm fucking not. And he goes, I want to talk. And they went back to Dana's office, and Dana came out, and he was like, sorry. And he was very cagey. He goes, it's a weird thing to say. He goes, I kept looking at his ankles. I was like, his ankles? He goes, yeah. He goes, like, he's wearing these like short socks, and his suit goes, for a rich guy, his suit didn't really fit. So I could see his, like, the bottom of his calf and his ankles, because they were like most of our heavyweights. His ankles were like most of our heavyweights' necks or chest. He goes, he was like, he's enormous. He goes, he's enormous. I was like, well, you think? He was, yeah, we'll see if we can get something done. So we got something done.
Do you remember, is this before he fought for K1? Because he did have
No,
one
he fought
fight.
He was
K1
1-0.
first.
He was
He was
1-0.
1-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd already fought in K1. But again, Dana ain't wanting K1. Like
Empty
Sean Shelby
stadium.
and Silva would have seen that.
Yeah, another empty stadium. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really empty. Like really empty stadium.
You don't just put out seats and put a good card together and it ain't like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. They fucking won't. It's hard.
So when you got a guy like Lesnar and what I don't want to do is kind of dump on anybody on this.
I mean, I might take a little dump on him.
But like obviously you can't bring somebody along. You always have to be established.
Yeah.
But your first fight's Frank Mir. Like you're
well, one, he came very close to annihilating Frank Mir in 30 seconds.
True.
So it wasn't an unfair match at all. Two, Frank Mir was a lifeline. Frank Mir was very, very close to being cut. Joe Silva and Frank Mir were tight. They were real friends. Joe Silva, when he was forced to move from Virginia to Vegas to work at the UFC, he worked with the UFC, from like the 90s. But when Zuffa, Joe was like, Dana was like, Joe, I need you to move to Vegas. Well, his family didn't want to. His daughter and his wife didn't want to, and so Joe would come here and then go back when he could. But he just lived in an apartment. Joe to this day can't drive a car.
I used to see him at the hook and shoots.
Pedals, but
I used to see him at the hook and shoots in Evansville.
Yeah. So he Googled BJJ club nearby. There was one within literally mountain bike distance. So he got his hat on. He got on his little mountain bike, and Joe's little legs pedaled to a BJJ class, and Frank Mir was teaching it. And he was like, "Oh my god, like you're huge and you're this good at BJJ. Like you should fight in the UFC. My name's Joe Silva. I work with the UFC." He was, "Oh yeah, maybe, yeah." But they became friends, and so Frank Mir was so good. He was like a decade ahead.
Took arms. Yeah.
Oh god, and he could punch as well, and was big, strong, athletic, smart, charismatic,
good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy.
Checked all the boxes.
Yeah. And then he had, he won the title, and it all went to, he won the title by snapping Tim Sylvia's arm in half, and it was so. One of the 3 mistakes Bruce Buffer's ever made was in that fight. He announced Frank, because everyone was so confused why the referee had stopped it. Because Kim Sylvia was like, "Why'd you stop it? Why'd you stop it?"
No shoulder, broken arm.
Yeah. Tim Sylvia was like, Sylvia's arm was like broke, and it was like snapped. You could see it snap.
Herb Dean's first UFC.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So, the referee made the perfect call, saw it snapped, and like, well, I know what that is. It's a broken bone. But Tim, bless him, wanting to fight on, and probably with the adrenaline felt he could, didn't know it was broke. I think when he got backstage and the adrenaline dissipated, that's when the agony kicked in. But everyone was confused, including Bruce. And Bruce, instead of going and knew and doing all that, he just announced Frank Mir as the winner. And people were booing and booing. They showed a replay, and because fans weren't very educated, they showed the replay that his arm was broke. And Joe Rogan was like, now you see what happened, you're still booing? And they booed more. So it was a shit moment. And if you look, Frank Mir's crying because this goal he's been pushing towards for so long is like, he's there, and it's just everyone's turned to shite. Tainted. And pulled his cap down on him. Well, after that, he never gets to defend because he has a horrific motorcycle accident. Actually, just like 300 meters where my house is right now, just up there on Fort Apache. And he comes back, and he gets addicted to pain pills.
Yep.
Very common.
Yeah, because he's in agony, like his body's shattered. Yeah. He comes back, and even though he's healthy, his brain just can't take pain anymore. So he loses, and he loses again. And he just doesn't look like Frank Mir. And Joe Silva had to say, hey, man, look, if I'm going to get you a big fight, I'm going to throw you so far into the deep end, you've got to be Frank Mir. Almost like to protect yourself, you've got to become Frank Mir overnight, or it's over for you. And it might be okay that it's over. They had that whole conversation. So the Frank Mir that Brock beat was a Frank Mir who mentally wasn't there. And if you watch that fight again, I'm terrible with names, but Frank Mir's wife, can't remember it. But you know it pretty well. But they cut to the crowd, and she is just screaming and crying.
Well, she didn't want him to fight either.
Well, she didn't. But she wanted him. She needed him to. When he won, she was screaming. What she was screaming is, "I've got my husband back. I've got my husband back." Yeah, and that's when you see him say it. Like after he beats Brock, you hear him grab the mic. Goes, "Now you got to see Frank Mir because he was back." And then he won the title, and he as many submission wins as any heavyweight in history. And when he won the title back, he did get announced and knew he finally got his moment. But
man, that's like something movies are made of.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. Incredible what he overcome. It's incredible what Frank Mir overcome. So the Brock was fighting not Frank Mir, prodigy, best heavyweight BJJ fighter ever. He was fighting a broken man on the end
on
of
his way out. On his way out.
Yeah.
Not even in his mid-30s either.
No. But he was thrown like 300 feet.
Yeah, I think he broke his femur, and I remember the message board chatter at that time was his wife didn't want him anymore, and I get it. Like, I couldn't imagine my wife or daughter doing it. Like, it's
he had lost 2 of his last 3 fights by TKO, so yeah, his back was up against the wall.
Yeah. And he just couldn't train. Like, he just couldn't. He just said, like, I just couldn't take pain. Like, a little bit of pain would just throw, like an alarm bell would go off in the back of his head. Like, oh my God, pain's back, because he'd been in so much pain for so long. He told me, like, he basically didn't get off the couch for weeks. He'd sleep downstairs. Like, going upstairs was too much effort for him. He was in too much pain. That's how low he'd gone. And to go from that, and that's why you saw that release in that interview, that now you got to see Frank Mir. And you did. He tapped out Nogueira. He did.
Yeah, I mean, Roberto Traven, he got everybody. Like, he took extremities and appendages. He took them home with him. Yeah.
Well, he knocked out Nogueira, and then he tapped out Nogueira. I mean, he was back.
Yeah.
Dude, Nogueira.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Knocked him out, and then the rematch, he tapped him out.
So
broke him.
Yeah. For a minute, the UFC belts were kind of a mess, as we had talked about, earlier in regards to Sean Sherk. Like, it wasn't clean. When you have a fine-tuned organization, those things are settled. The belts are settled. And when they're not, it's kind of chaotic and disjointed for everybody. So the UFC buys Pride the year prior, and UFC 82 has got Dan Henderson versus Anderson Silva as the main event. It's just a collision between the two champions, almost like a belt unification. I was in heaven at this point.
Well, you remember that one? The first Pride unification. So there's a couple of problems with the unification. Obviously, the weight divisions were different.
Yeah.
So you're kind of unifying them, but not really. It was the Pride middleweight championship unified with the light heavyweight UFC championship, and there was a 5-pound difference. And UFC 75, remember, it was called Champion versus Champion, and it was in a weird time, because on the one hand, UFC was gaining traction, and we're doing champion versus champion, which is a go-to in boxing. Unification, your champion versus champion is an easier sell in boxing. Boxing fans get it, but to UFC fans that then were not boxing fans, it was like, what do you mean over champion? What's Pride? Well, then we had to tell people what Pride was. Not anymore because it's gone.
Yeah.
So if you look, and you can still Google these, the champion versus champion on UFC 75's key art. You know, my friend Errol Hawani always calls them posters. They're not called posters; they're called key art. The belts are in the background. They've got Rampage, and then you've got Dan Henderson. And at the bottom, you've got I think Matt Hamill and Michael Bisping. And got the belts on either side of the two champions. Well, every iteration of the poster, the belts get faded and faded until the final iteration, the one that went on sale. You've got to really look for them. That's how it doesn't look like they're standing in a dark room, and there's something in the background. No, could be a giant watch, could be a clock. It doesn't look like a belt because we're like, why are we? Pride's not going to continue. Probably like. What are we doing?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
you got to put it to rest.
Yeah, then when it came time to, you can see a Rampage after he won. It's like, where's my belt? Where's my belt? Well, Dan Henderson didn't walk out with the belt. We told him not to. We told him he wasn't walking out with his belt. And it was too confusing for the audience. You know,
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, it was a tough call. There's
nostalgia,
but there's no good answer there.
No, the nostalgia is for guys like us.
Yeah.
But the common fan.
Yeah. I mean, I did years later, so I was involved in the redesign of the UFC belt into what there is now. I took a first stab at it, and then I sent that over to Heidi Nolan, who's still there, fucking genius, one of the most creative people I've ever come across, much less had the pleasure to work with. I sent her like a history of belts. Here's what they look like. Here's where they come from. You know, she definitely read parts of it because some of it was incorporated. And then once she was telling me about something, I was like, "Just why are you looking at me for?" And I was like, "I told you that in that document." "No, you didn't." I was like, "Yes, I did." It's like, but you read it so many years before. I was like, yes, I did. But I did. So you've got on the front of a belt, you got the plate. And then the smaller plates, some people call them medallions, some people call them coins, other people call them the side plates in WWE.
Side plate,
side plates. Well, the coins, what I had an idea that the middleweight UFC championship and the light heavyweight, one of the coins would be a miniature version of the Pride plate to kind of show the lineage. But it ultimately got shut down.
I think that's cool.
I like that. I liked
it too. It wasn't a hill I was going to die on.
Yeah, but there's three of us. There's three.
Yeah.
We're in.
Yeah. Well, they're like, yeah, but the practicalities, that means we've got two belts that look different from everyone else, and do we do the Strikeforce coin on this, and do we do the WBC one on that? I'm like, oh, okay.
So Randy Couture and the UFC are at an all-time low. Randy's threatening retirement. He wants to chase Fedor. Very chaotic in regards to what's being leaked to the public.
Yeah.
Are you in any of those meetings at all?
Not many, no. Not many. I'm still very involved in the UK and stuff like that.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's actually smart.
I always had a great, I mean, it wasn't smart. I mean, if I was in the US by then, I would have been, but I always really got on with Randy. I get another one. It's like, what did you achieve with all that? What did you achieve?
You know what he achieved? The same thing Roger Huerta did.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
was a UFC commentator. Could have had a job for life. And
he's very well spoken. Like he 100% could have been doing.
Yeah. And look, I hung out with him a whole bunch of times and stuff like that. I like Randy, but his reputation was, if you read his book, and he'll say this, his reputation was that of being a better guy than he probably was. Not saying he was a bad guy, but he wasn't Captain America, but he was so beloved. He was above and beyond any kind of realistic expectations of how anybody could be all the time. I don't know. It's like, what did you achieve with that?
Yeah, across the same finish line.
He went back anyway after, why?
Yeah.
But he didn't even fight outside of the UFC.
He
just kind of threatened it for a long time and then came back.
Yeah, under contract.
He did the Fight Master show for Bellator, like their version of the reality show as well.
Yeah.
It was like here. We started this interview with you throwing a shot at Bjorn Rebney. Yeah. It's like he had a terrible reputation in boxing. I met him pre-Bellator. He showed up at one of my regional events here in the Chicagoland area, gave me his business card. The boxing guys that I knew all said, dude, don't waste your time. Meanwhile, about a year later, he's got Bellator going.
Yeah, not very often did I make Dana White laugh. But I did get him rolling. I said, like, Bjorn Rebney, I was like, I come from boxing. It's like, he got drummed out of boxing for being too corrupt. That's like getting drummed out of porn because you're too much of a slut.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I like Dana rolling. He said a version of that, a cleaner version of that on ESPN. But like, yeah, it's like Bjorn Rebney is your white knight, really?
He didn't have any structure. We can go on and on about Bellator. Yeah. I mean, look at the seasons.
I mean, I always call it Bellator, but
yeah. Fair enough. The growth of the UFC at this point, it was just like you could put anything out there and people they had a voracious appetite for it. And April 19th, 2008, UFC 83 Quebec, you guys broke the UFC attendance record with 21,390.
Yeah, geez, that crowd was just like somebody opened the doors and there were like 5 fighter jets turning their engines on full blast. It was just incredible. It was just, and the weigh-in too, like the weigh-in, like it was GSP versus Matt Serra, the rematch.
Yeah.
And Matty, God bless him, he knew the role. Like he called them all Frenchies and wine swillers and stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know
how
saying you drink wine is an insult, but they took it like he just, said something terrible about their wives and daughters. But he goes, watch this, Ant. And he went up on stage for the weigh-in and was going to say some more stuff, but they were just ready. They just booed. And you couldn't hear, even though we had a microphone, you couldn't hear a word of what Matt was saying. They booed so loud. And yeah, it was unbelievable. The funny thing is, like, a whole bunch of us who are pro wrestling fans, we were all excited it was the same building where the Montreal screw job happened.
Yeah.
Like Joe Silva, is this it? I was like, yeah, it's Joe. This is where the Montreal screw job happened. And everyone was like, no, was it? I was like, yes. I was like, let's go ask Dave Meltzer. So Dave Meltzer was in row 1. I was like, Dave, this is where the Montreal screw job happened. And he was like, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, Bell Center.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, but we were all excited about that. This amazing event we were putting on.
Let's talk about the UFC Hall of Fame. Art Davie. It took him until 2018 to be inducted. Was there a lot of pushback with him?
Not really. I mean, it was Lorenzo wanted Bob Meyrowitz to go in first. Remember, like, so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, the UFC. I mean, I didn't. I still don't. Not to say Bob should. Look, Campbell McLaren, and I've got no relationship with Campbell McLaren whatsoever, but I absolutely think he needs to be in. I think it's to the detriment of the UFC Hall of Fame, but he's not. He made so many like meaningful contributions.
Agree.
It was Art Davie's idea, but Lorenzo, being a business guy, goes, "Yeah, dude. Like everybody has ideas. It's only when you put money against it that it's real." I'm like, but Art Davie raised money to put it on, but Lorenzo didn't see it like that. So we had Bob Meyrowitz going first, because this is a brand new thing. This is the contributors wing. I think this was the first year where we had the contributors wing. And I created that because I had to retroactively, so I was never assigned to be in charge of the UFC Hall of Fame. I just wanted to be.
Did you just kind of take that on your own without permission?
Dana and Lorenzo. It's a little bit like, so my parents got divorced when I was 9, and it was like terrible. I only saw my mom and dad a little bit, saw them half the time, because that happens in divorces. But I did realize that what you could do, if you get a no from one, you might get a yes from another. Yeah. And that's how I treated it with Dana and Lorenzo. If one dad, Lorenzo, said no, I'd go to Dana to see if the other dad said yes, and then I wouldn't say. Occasionally, then he would. They both learned. It's like, what did Lorenzo say? I'm like, he said no. He goes, well, it's a no from me. I'm like, fuck. I'm rumbled. They know what I'm doing. But I pitched this idea 3 years in a row. Hall of Fame, because I mean it's because I'm such a big fan of the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm such a huge fan of it, and I wanted that for the UFC. Dana eventually, so I got yes from people like Gary Coote, Marshall Lesnar, Jack Barosian, Heidi Nolan. I got all of them buying in, and then I had like sign off from a lot of department heads to it. So I went to
wait. Did you have your pitch down? Like, were you practicing it at home?
Oh,
and then you
yes.
kind of went 1-to-1 to kind of.
You have okay. Not only that, I read books on Hall of Fames. I spoke to people who were involved in the Boxing Hall of Fame, both Boxing Hall of Fames, the one in New York and the one in Los Angeles. I spoke to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like I was ready. Eventually, Dana was like, "You're not going to stop, are you?" I was like, "No, I'm not going to stop." He goes, "Well, if you can do it as well as all the other shit you're doing, like you have a go, have a go." And it was fortuitous. So we were just doing the first UFC Expo. They call it UFC X now. UFC X makes it sound like it's some sort of like Nation of Islam gathering, but there you go. What do I know about branding? But they needed stuff for the main stage. I was like, well, there you go. Here's 3 hours. Here's 3 hours Hall of Fame. We can do 2.5 hours of the Hall of Fame. Okay, this is the year. Go do it. And I had to two things. I had to retroactively make sense of two things because I felt there'd been two big mistakes. One was that Charles Mask Lewis was in. Who one of the co-founders of Tap Out? Who gives a fuck about Tap Out days? Like, honestly, who gives a fuck about that? You know, Tap Out's been owned by WWE for the last like 15 years or something. No one thinks about it. It's done.
Right.
But he's not. He's on the octagon cage for Christ's sake. And I like.
Is he still?
Yeah, he's still there.
They switch him out every once in a while. Sometimes it's Vegas Strong.
Yeah.
There was one, Shaylee Lip, a woman that died in a car accident. They put her name on there.
Yeah.
A little side note.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But Charles he makes appearances.
He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, for what? You know? Come on.
Yeah, but is that a fight you want to take? Let's remove somebody?
Oh, I didn't want to remove him. I wanted to retroactively make it make sense.
Yeah.
And the other one was
Stephen
Bonner. How's Stephen? Like, God rest his soul.
Well, the fight. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you just hit on it. Your mind went. You were about to say, but the fight was so important. Yes, it was. So let's put the fight in. And the idea came from, I was talking to...
So smart.
It's like there's no new ideas anywhere in the world. There's just new ways of using ideas. I was talking to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they just put in, so like, I took my ex-wife, then she was my wife. I don't speak to her anymore. I won't take her anywhere. You know, maybe the court again. But we just went to see Fleetwood Mac, because that's a favorite band. So I went to see Fleetwood Mac. Well, it wasn't it wasn't like going to watch Celine Dion, which is like, you know, as I like to call her, the ear rapist. But we went to Fleetwood Mac, and that was kind of top of mind. And the lead singer of Fleetwood Mac, what's the girl's name?
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks was going in the. Thank you, Joe. Stevie Nicks was going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I asked the lady from the Hall of Fame, who my friend Shauna Wilson got me in touch with. Shauna used to work at UFC, went to the Hall of Fame, and she put me in touch with like basically the head who decides who goes in or who's nominated. And I was like, how's Stevie Nicks going in? Exactly. She's already in. She says, no, Fleetwood Mac's in. And that is Fleetwood Mac. She's in as part of Fleetwood Mac, just like Guns N' Roses are in, or the Beatles are in. But we also put John Lennon in for his own stuff, and I was like, "Well, how? I don't get it. Explain it.
Make this make sense." Yeah.
And what I want is an explanation that makes sense to me for the UFC. So I asked the question until I got the information I wanted. And it's like Stevie Nicks, as part of Fleetwood Mac, is a recognition of what they achieved together. Going into Stevie Nicks is what she achieved by herself. I'm like, what if I reverse engineered that and Stephen Bonner is in because he's only in because of the fight with Forrest. That's it. Forrest Griffin was in, but he won world titles. He beat Rampage Jackson. He beat Tito Ortiz twice. He did a lot of things. What if we have a fight wing where we induct the fight, and then like the kind of whole romance kicked in, like in it like such a romantic fan thing to think that on any any given UFC. Doesn't matter if it's at the Apex wasn't around, but even at the Apex, the first fight on the Apex, two fighters you don't care about, you never heard of, maybe you'll never hear from again. They can just pull a just amazing fight about each other. They can pull greatness out of each other.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I love this. So I did a fight wing. And then getting back to Bob Meyrowitz, like to make sense of Charles Mass Lewis being there, it's like, well, he contributed. He's a contributor.
Yeah.
That's how it makes sense. And then so I need to make sense and put him in a category with a contributor wing. I wanted Art Davie go first.
Can I let me interject, and I apologize. So the one thing, Art Davie has got some loyalists. You know, our mutual friend Sean Wheelock is one of them. And what Sean really gets proud of, he says, what does it say under Art Davie's name? Like on his Hall of Fame plaque. It's his founder.
Yeah.
There can only be one founder. A lot of people take credit for inventing the UFC. He's like, but there's only one founder, and that's Art Davie. And I know you put that together.
Yeah, I did. I actually got to be the one to call Art and say, you go. I got to do that a few times. So it was usually Dana telling him, and then Dana.
That's cool. That's cool. What an honor.
Like, you can do this. So I got to call. I got to call Don Fry and tell him he was going in the Hall of Fame. That's just highlights of my career.
Hell of a speech, by the way. I looked it up after our last interview.
Yeah, we worked 3 months on that. Yeah, should put that in the Hall of Fame. That's one of the best.
Speechwriter.
Yeah, that's how you do a speech. Yeah. And contrast that with Uriah Faber, who I begged him to do a speech. I begged him, like I said, Uriah, I'll help you. I love you, brother. I'll spend as much time as you want. He goes, no, I'll just wing it. And then on the day off, he goes, yeah, let's do a speech. I'm like, you can go fuck yourself because it's like 3 hours time. But I called Don up, and he didn't know me. But I was friends with Bass Rutten, and Bass had
I think we went over this in the last interview. Yeah.
But when I called Artie, like, he just silence on the phone. Like, he really absorbed it, and it was good. I was really happy. Art deserves to be remembered. You know?
Well, whoever is in charge of the contributors wing now, John Peretti, he deserves to be in there. I got to advocate for my guy.
Okay.
Yeah, we got episode 300 coming up, and Joey and I'm going to be very direct in this. I've got phone numbers to people who I should not have. Like, I 100% should not have their phone numbers. I've been calling this one Gracie member. I'm not going to say who. I got my timeline ready. I think if I can get this guy, which I should not be able to get, he will be our episode 300. We're trying to figure out who should, like, Keith Hackney. I think I'm going to call it an air conditioning problem and see if Keith shows up over here. I'm not kidding. Like, I've got to figure out episode 300. We're stuck.
Any ideas for us, Ant?
I don't know. Well, I think it's going to be Art Davie. Joe Silva?
I don't know. He won't.
He would never do it. No, but I think we might bring in Art Davie to that, because I know we talked UFC 1 and 2. Yeah. We might do episode 300, UFC 3.
Yeah, it's too bad. We kind of had a falling out that, because the closer we got to it, it turned from like joy and like that. But I get it, because he was so salty the week of, like, so salty the week of the UFC Hall of Fame. I don't mind saying it.
I can tell you what I heard. I heard, and this is not from Sean, this is not from anybody else. This is somebody from just a little sidebar comment that I heard, just like almost on accident, that Art pulled up in like a 20-year-old car that was barely hanging on, and he kind of saw the opulence. And I think it all dawned on him that he made some, maybe poor business decisions.
Yeah, and that's Bob Meyrowitz no-showed the UFC Hall of Fame. I had to talk him into like sending a video. I wrote a speech for him, I emailed it, and he just like read it. And he told me that he had a bar mitzvah to go to. He told somebody else that he had a wedding. I mean, it's possible that someone saved on money and did a bar mitzvah and a wedding on the same day. Much more likely, and Dana agreed with me, was that what happened is what he didn't want is you guys had just sold this for like whatever it was, 3 billion, and I sold it to you guys for 2 million. He didn't want that reminder. And it's got to be tough. I mean, even fighters I know, when they go to the UFC office, they go like, shit, look at all this money that I helped generate and I didn't get a fair share. And I think that's it. Well, I know. I would 99% of me is sure that Art was like, fuck, this is be my idea. And
I should have hung on to 1% as schmuck insurance.
Well, dude, I mean, he sold it to Meyrowitz. Like
and he was 2 owners ago.
Dude, he had a foot out even when he was matchmaking, and he couldn't get away from his non-compete. Yeah. Like whatever vision he had.
He did. He tried to start a rival group and started poaching. Like Joe Silva was adamant. Like he called me, he's like, "You're putting in Art Davie in the Hall of Fame." He tried to kill the UFC.
Dude, Andy Anderson. It was like that IFC event in Russia where it all came apart. Like when we talked, we hit this in a lot of administrative type interviews. Well, it is what it is.
My thing with my North Star in the UFC Hall of Fame is who deserves to be remembered. That's it. Who deserves to be remembered in 50 years, 100 years? If there's still a UFC in 50 years, if there's still MMA in 100 years, and nothing's for certain. You know, horse racing used to be the biggest sport in America like 100 years ago. And who gives a shit now, other than like betting nutcases?
I'm a sucker for a Hall of Fame. No matter what the genre is, it's like someone's doing the homework for me. I can kind of come in, read, educate myself. I'm an absolute sucker for a Hall of Fame.
Who deserves to be remembered? And then there's people like who like I will tolerate no slander when it comes to the UFC Hall of Fame. Like,
you're not going to hear any from us.
I know. I will tolerate no. Like, there's a guy, Jed Mushim or whatever the fuck his name is, an MMA fighter. Like
Philip Miller.
Like
undefeated.
I've tried so hard to goad him into a Twitter war so I can just like beat the crap out of him for talking shit about the UFC, but he knows. He knows. Right. The only one I will brook is Frank Shamrock should be in it, but Frank
we talked about it.
Didn't want to be in it. So what can I do?
Yeah, because of that information, I've had conversations online with people, but I try to limit any interactions I really have with people online because I get called casual quite a bit when it comes to.
I get called casual. Like literally, my photo is me hosting the UFC press conference. I'm a casual.
Yeah. I'm like, I've got a pretty steep body of work, not only like online that you can have, but my resume's pretty good. Pretty good. I don't know about that casual thing, but so I try to limit that. But that Frank Shamrock stuff was mind blowing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that he isn't in because he likes the status being the guy who should be in, but isn't better than one of the guys who's in.
Some guys just can't avoid tripping over their own dicks.
Yeah.
Seems like that's what he did.
Wow. I mean, we've had several instances that we've talked about in this podcast. Yeah. This very one. When you would pitch fights, would you have to come in with a bunch of them because there'd be a lot of pushback?
Yeah.
I always wondered about Gray Maynard versus Frankie Edgar.
Yeah, that was definitely on the list. That was definitely on the list. Yeah. I don't know these days. I don't know if Gray would accept it. But yeah, that was absolutely on the list.
I mean, it's
days, like I was always trying to get. I don't even know who comes up the list anymore. I really don't.
Do they put it out for a vote?
No,
I'd fucking love to be on that panel. Oh,
yeah. But there's,
I know.
It's a UFC. It should be a vote. Like, we've done it. Yeah, like the rankings, that vote. That's good. Like, okay. Only the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I can say now, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that is part fan vote, part expert. So it's like, well, okay, what does the fan vote add up to? Well, the fan vote adds up to like
10%.
drop a piss in an ocean. And the experts and sponsors get the rest. Okay, that's what happens there.
Who's paying the bills?
Yeah. So I did say, like, hey, why don't we put it up to a fan vote, and then we'll take the fan vote. Will be overridden anyway. Like, well, what's the point in doing it? Like,
no, I agree.
Well, plus today's fans voting on something that happened 20 years ago, I wouldn't trust that either.
Like, even like, I mean, did you know Ronda Rousey like never beat anyone ever? Like, did you know Chuck Liddell was crap? You know, did you know that BJ Penn, like, you know, didn't know any jits?
500 record, not really good. Yeah.
It's like
if you came in late and all you remember is the end of their career, that's going to be the picture in your mind, and that's bullshit.
Yeah. And that, Joe, right there that's why occasionally I get like, why did you care so much about the Hall of Fame? Why'd you care? I'm like,
dude, you got to.
Because
that's why we're here.
You got to preserve the sport. You got to preserve the sport. It can't just be betting bros, you know, taking over. And also, like, the inevitable end of everyone's career, with one or two exceptions, is just 3 or 4 years of them losing to people who shouldn't be able to carry their jockstraps.
Should never be in the ring with them.
Yeah. So maybe how about the last time we see him isn't them picking their mouth shield up and putting
100%.
How about the last time we see them
is mouth shield? Is it gum shield, mouth shield, or mouthpiece?
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Maybe the last time we see him should be in a suit getting an award, talking about their best days, not talking about their worst day ever. So that's
way off topic. So when Mike Tyson was giving his spoken word, I went and saw it 3 times.
Right.
And it was just so emotional. It was riveting. And I was paying homage to a guy that created some of the greatest memories, you know, that I had as a child. And Spike Lee putting it together. Like, I remember tracking Spike Lee's email down and begging him, please do other people. This like that whole vaudeville turn of the century, like, plays and acts that their former champions would do in order to garner an audience, make a little bit of money, and go on tour. If that Mike Tyson recipe, if you put 3 guys together that had good personalities, they don't even have to all be champions. Maybe just 1 headline and 2 openers. Fuck, I would love that.
Well, Bisping's done that.
Really?
He's done a tour of UK twice, and he was selling out like 5,000 tickets.
Do you know what I mean? Like the whole vaudeville stuff. Like, why? Yeah. I know pro wrestlers. Jake the Snake Roberts did it. I went and saw him when he did his. I just wish it'd be a little bit more organized, and somebody like yourself. No. You guys might not know each other, different eras, but you're going out together. I just wish that happened. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I did a tour with Marvin Hagler.
Really?
A long time ago. And just do after dinner speaking, you know, 5-course meal, and, you know, it's all suit and tie and very, like, you know, reminiscent of the cigar and steak kind of era of the UK. But we did one with Larry Holmes, and just do it like a speech after. I'm like, I was like, always thought, like, could you do that with a more modern version with UFC? I don't know.
Sure, you know, like with a slideshow behind him, it's kind of like doing a one-man show with training wheels.
Yeah.
You know, like Mike Tyson couldn't go do a stand-up act, but you give him the slideshow and he responds and tells the stories, and it's brilliant.
And you do Q&As and stuff. Well, that's
there was a regional guy here in the Midwest that was putting together dinner packages. Chris Maltzberger was his name. How I remember that, I don't know. But he would have dinners and have like Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, and he would have too many people like on the panel, just trying to draw as many people as possible. So he was on that right track. I know he lost his ass every single time, but I went to 3 of them. I think he did 5. I went to 3 out of the 5.
So. I think it's doable. I mean, you'd have to do it. I would do it like around a UFC weekend, something like that, you know.
So UFC 84, they start cleaning up the belts. BJ Penn and Sean Sherk. Sean Sherk comes out of obviously his hiatus, and it's nice. It seems on track. The other things around UFC 84 is Tito and Dana are at an all-time high in regards to feud. Did you ever try to probably not a wise move. Wedge yourself in between
No,
Tito and
I mean,
Dana. Just
I did a lot of stupid things, but suicide would no, no, no.
yeah, no talking to
I
Tito at
think
all, huh?
no, not on that. Occasionally I would, ask why certain media were banned. You know, he never could remember why Jonathan Snowden was banned. Like Josh Gross, he knew, but Snowden he couldn't even remember. I don't know.
It must have
Loretta
been
Hunt,
bad.
he knew.
Yeah, must have been bad.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, who
yeah.
did you know? What was the name?
Loretta Hunt. Remember her?
Yeah, I do.
She couldn't write shit. She was terrible. I mean, yeah.
She got sued too. Like she was doing, yeah, she was doing some. You know what? Maybe it was Cindy O. Cindy O got sued.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she couldn't write. I know. I know you can sue somebody for being a terrible writer, but
Rusimer Paul Harris. It was his UFC debut at UFC 4.
Yeah. And total scumbag. You
Was
see
it actions in the ring or out of the ring as well?
Didn't know him outside, but like, he's one of the ones. Like, I got trolled into calling Joe Silva once and flipping out on Joe because they thought it'd be funny because I was naive and was full of my opinions. Like, so Marshall's the last thing goes, "Hey, call you don't like this Dan Hardy Akihiro Gono match? Call Joe Silva. He loves feedback." I'm like, fucking Joe Silva loves feedback. So I called up Joe. I was like, "I hate this." I was like, no one looks good against Gono. I was like, I've been trying to get Dan Hardy in the UFC. And he's finally here, and I can finally go to the media and the fans with someone over than Michael Bisping. And what are you doing? Like Joe made fun of me for the next 10 years of how he thinks I sounded on film. What are you doing? I sounded nothing like that, but I did ask him what he was doing. Yeah. But Polaris is because we did that, we became friends. Like Joe came over to my house a bunch of times, and when he was in Vegas, and we were real pals. Well, with Polaris and Gilbert Yvel, those are ones where I called Joe. I was like, why? Why do we want these? Why? 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 I mean, especially Gilbert, because he had previous. Like Ruzamar, we didn't know he was a psychopath until we saw him act like a psychopath. We'd already seen Gilbert act like
we knew that.
Yeah.
He was training at Extreme Couture too.
Yeah.
Gilbert.
Yeah. I'm like, why? Why? Why do we want someone who just like cheats to like that degree? Why are we bringing him in?
This is way off. Like I can chat with you all day long. So I gotta throw this little side note in there. So I am like mentally ill OCD obsessed with the Dutch mafia and its ties in with mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Japanese Yakuza, it's a big bonfire. But what's the fuel? What's the wood that's feeding the bonfire? And what we have found through this podcast, through anonymous sources, as well as interviews with our Dutch fighters, is the ecstasy in Holland was a main foundational component of Pride FC. And it started with Gordeau, who began the business exchange, but Gilbert Yvel was the next person over there. And Yvel, other managers really next leveled it. So Yvel, and he had an incident with Phil Baroni prior him, and Amar Suluev almost beat a Baroni in an elevator. Like there's a lot with Gilbert outside of knocking out a referee.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, like he when he fought Don Fry, he just like raked his eyes over
eye gouging.
It was like having a fight against a velociraptor.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you?
It was right after 9/11 too. Yeah, it was right after 9/11.
Yeah. I was like, Joe, why are we having this guy on? He's like, it's scumbag. He's like, I'll get him beat. I'm like, so maybe poke someone's eye out.
So when Joey and I prep for this, we always kind of like think of different paths to cross the finish line. So when we had Murillo Bustamante, all right, Murillo, you were Paul Harris's teacher. When Matt Lindland fake tapped against you, is that kind of something that may have translated into Paul Harris maybe extending and taking limbs? No, The guy was a fucking asshole. We threw him out of the gym. Total piece of shit. So what happened with you and Lindland had no influence? Not with him. That's what most of they said.
Like Polaris, there was a really good article on Uncrowned at Yahoo, and they just basically list
phenomenal.
It just lists all these like his atrocities, you know. Yeah. And then they speak to him at the end. He's like, "Yeah, I wish I would have hurt more people." Oh, I'm like, you little steroid midget.
Here's the difference. Like, let's just say Frank Mir took limbs, but it was boom. You didn't really have the opportunity to tap.
It was, he like, I always said to Frank, like, your arm was like, I'd rather be tapped out by anyone but you. It's like, why? It's like, you go.
Well, Harris
not nuclear power meet. Like, it was no like, oh, you got a couple. Like with Frank, it was just like a light being turned on.
So Drake Riggs is the guy that did the Paul Harris article. All right. So I don't really know how to work Twitter yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only person I've ever really responded to in regards to the comments. Yeah. So I do enjoy his content.
Yeah, he's really good. Really, really good. Hi, Drake.
I'm not sure he listens, but UFC 85, you're back in London. So now this is kind of like your time to shine, right? You want to break down what happened? I got it written down.
Well, you talk about like I was talking earlier about like Americans like not getting different things. So that's back when they would call UFCs different names. So it was Sean Shelby, now known as the lead matchmaker, Sean Shelby.
Health Gracie, belted under Health Gracie, Sean Shelby. Yes.
Yeah. Sean's legit. Sean's legit.
Yes, he is. Like, yes, he is.
Sure, like I would give him shit and stuff in the office, and he would be like, beat me up, like take me down. I'm like, look, I'm big. I'm like 240, 6'3". Sean is not big. Sean would beat me up and then go, like, I've ever seen him once going, stop telling people about that time you kicked my ass. You know? But Sean's legit. But it was Sean, Beth Turnbull, and a few others. Tom Jabasi, who's still there, would come up with the names, and they were running out of names. So they came up with UFC 85 Bedlam. I'm like, what are we doing, guys? It's like, what's Bedlam? It's crazy. Well, they didn't know how crazy because the main event changed 7 times between announcement and.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
7 times, which was a record at the time. Might have been broken since, but it was definitely a record.
I don't think so.
But do you know what Bedlam means in London?
Oh, that mayhem.
Why does it mean mayhem?
I don't know.
Because the London mental hospital that's been there for centuries is called Bedlam, and that's where we get the term from.
You learn something every day.
So they're 2 for 2 on offending the local culture.
It's still there. They don't call it Bedlam anymore because the term Bedlam long, permeated way beyond, London. But we use the word Bedlam because of this mental asylum where they would just throw crazy and insane people in. And fucking hell, it was apt. It just
Joey, it starts with Chuck Liddell versus Hua.
Yeah.
Hua required surgery on an injured knee and could not compete. Rashad Evans comes in to fight Liddell. Liddell forced to withdraw from the card due to a hamstring injury. James Irvin fights Rashad Evans. Irvin sustained a foot injury and forced him to pull out. Evans was then removed from the card as well. The main event, last minute, Hughes versus Thiago Alves.
He shouldn't have taken that fight.
On
Hughes
top
made
of
a
that,
mistake.
Paul Kelly versus Jonathan Goulet. Goulet dropped out, citing a lack of training time, followed by Kelly withdrawing before his opponent could even be named because of an injury sustained in practice. Lieben is supposed to fight Michael Bisping. Phenomenal fight. Yeah. Lieben's got so many legal issues, he doesn't have time to go to the gym at this point.
And also there was no way he was going to get in England at the time.
Really? Because of his visa. Yeah.
None. I think he even had a passport. I remember giving him shit about that. It's like, you need passports to leave, ports, don't you? But yeah, Bisping
what's that mean?
More so than Matt Hughes. Bisping saved the day. So Joe Silva comes up to me and goes, come with me. I grabbed Marshall Zelazny, who was the president of UFC in the UK. And Bisping has just weighed in for his middleweight debut in Montreal, UFC 83. I think he fought Chainsaw Charlie McCarthy.
McCarthy. Yeah.
There you go. Just was about to fight him. Went up to him. Marshall goes, "Hey, Mike, we need you for London." Like it was in 2 months' time. Need you for London. I think it was 60 days time. He's like, I'm fighting tomorrow. Let's see if I come through. He's like, we need you for London. He's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. And
such a cool entrance.
Yeah.
London calling. Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. But he, Bisping saved the day on that. And that was when I remember Joe Silva and Dana talking afterwards. He's like, oh, wow. Like, we knew we had a star in Bisping, but like the reaction he got. I think it was Jason Day. I think it was Jason Day he beat.
Yeah, but Jason Day had won 9 of his last 10 fights. Like, he was on a tear.
Yeah. But, yeah. It's weird. Like, Bisping got, like, no respect until he was almost done.
Yeah.
I think most of his respect once he retired.
I don't think he was, like, real likable here in the United States until his last few fights. Like, he just turned the corner. Yeah.
He's always the same guy. Always been the same guy.
Well, I think we adjusted to him. I think
maybe.
that's...
Yeah.
I wonder how many fighters are going to hang on too long because of the Michael Bisping story. Because all those doors closed and he still won a title.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't, like, we were really...
Oh, dude, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
I mean, he was blind in one eye.
Yeah. Dude, him and Jeff Monson, the last 8 years of Monson's career, he had one eye.
Oh, wow.
So both of those guys.
Yeah, I didn't know it, but I really suspected it, and it put me in a...
Did you?
Yeah. So his first fight back after the eye trouble was, what's his name? Stolen Valor. What's that little dwarf called? Stolen Valor.
Oh, come on, Joey.
Oh, Tim Kennedy.
Tim Kennedy. There you go. There you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I liked him.
Apparently, he won World War II for us. I don't know.
I know. He likes throwing grenades. I try to sit through one of those, and it hurt me to listen. And the guy went to war. He definitely is more manly than I am.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I also didn't lie about going to war either.
True. That's true.
Okay.
Credit to you, sir.
I'm out.
I'm not going to let him off the hook. But anyway, Mike was sitting doing interviews and stuff on the phone. I was on the couch next to him. I went to open the door. I think get room service. I brought the room service in somewhere it was. Put it there. Sat right next to Mike. He finished the phone call, put the phone down, turned on TV, and just started watching the TV like I didn't exist. And I let it go like 3-4 minutes. I'm like, you're just watching TV? And I went, what the fuck? It was, I didn't know you were there. How could you not know I was there? I'm like literally sitting like less than half a meter from you because he was blind in the eye. That's why he couldn't see. He didn't know I was there. So I suspected he was blind.
And his poor
Pretty
wife.
rough, because I guess I should have told Dana, but I didn't. I just thought, I was in a hard situation. Because Mike was like my best friend who was a fighter, and I know how important it was, so he kept fighting. Then he had a terrible...
I got some crazy questions from Mike. I will get him one day.
Mm-hmm.
I have got something that he'll just go, how the fuck did you know that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What one about?
And I don't want it to get back to him, but I'll tell you. CB Dalloway used to own his website.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he gave it to Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people do you think know that?
Yeah.
Just the MMA detective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joey, do you know how I know that, Joey? Guess.
Because you're the MMA detective.
No, I mean, even more. I mean, Joey, people know that.
Because he tried to sell it to you first.
No. Because you have OCD and you're obsessive compulsive. I don't know.
Right. So I am not a tech guy, obviously. Otherwise, this channel would have actual viewers.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I was so fucking mentally ill. I've got no outlet. I'm OCD. I love MMA. I've got a voracious appetite. I would look at the Ultimate Fighter and I would go, who the fuck is on that Ultimate Fighter? And then I would buy their domain names. I had Rashad Evans. I had Michael Bisping. I still own Nate Diaz. And I'm trying, this is like 5 years.
NateDiaz.com?
I own Nate Diaz. I've been trying to give it to him for free.
Well, to come on as a guest, that's
just
the
come
price.
give me like 45 minutes, dude. I'll give it to you. But I mean, I even tried to give it to him for free before this podcast existed. Yeah, I was the original owner. Yeah, I still got a bunch. Yeah. Good move, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's.
I've never sold any.
It's called cyber squatting, and it's kind of frowned upon. But
yeah, I've never.
Not if you're willing to give them away.
You're Matt Wyman. I think I sold him to his for $100. Is that really selling something? You know what I mean? It's like I got $100 in it. Give me $100. It's yours.
Yeah.
That sounds like the kind of excuses you used to hear when you caught people red-handed. Well, I wasn't stealing it. I was just making sure no one else stole it.
I was just holding it for you, man.
You know what? I've always registered them anonymous too. So you are right. You are correct. It's true. It's true. It's true. So Jon Jones makes his UFC debut at UFC 87. Mm-hmm. Did you know what you had on your hands when you first, when did you realize you were special?
Me personally, whatever the fight before Stephan Bonner was when I was like just blown away.
I think that Bonner may have been Joey, look it up. I think Bonner was his second fight. I think it was.
Bonner was when he did the spinning elbow.
Yeah.
No one had even really attempted before.
No fear of getting taken down.
No, zero.
And took full advantage of that.
Yeah. So before that, we've a lot,
Nate Diaz.
Did anyone know it was the greatest of all time and he would run through everybody? No. Who could possibly?
Yeah. UFC 91, November 15, 2008. Randy Couture headlines against Brock Lesnar. You guys sell 1,010,000 pay-per-views.
I don't know if that's real. I don't know if we broke 1 million then. I'm not sure.
It's one of their top 3 ever.
It was big, but
that's
if the numbers are real.
Yeah. Yeah, Brock Lesnar's 1-1 in the UFC, 2-1 in MMA. Kind of a controversial matchup, but the obvious low-hanging fruit that you had to make.
I mean, that's the weird thing. Like, I remember people saying, "Oh, it's a joke fight and all that." I remember arguing with Dan Hardy about it. I'm like, yeah, but Dan, like, he won world title and you didn't. How can you say that he was? He beat the shit out of Randy Couture. How can anyone? It's like after the fight, you can say I don't like the matchup and this is undeserving, but you can't. I think it's ridiculous to keep on saying someone was an undeserving challenger when they win the fight.
Oh, for sure.
How can you say he's undeserving? He won.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Dominantly won.
Clearly, he was going to have been there. And like he beat the holy heck out of.
He beat the shit out of Randy Couture. Yeah.
Something it was hard to watch.
Yeah. No, that was very hard to watch. So in November 20,
Brock was an absolute prince to work with, by the way.
Oh, was
really?
He?
No,
he doesn't do much media.
No, he said no.
Horrible.
Prima donna.
No, he got on great with a girl who worked there at the time, Jennifer Wenck. I say girl, like she was a grown-ass woman, mother. Got on great with Jen. Would not work with the rest of us. So when he fought Alistair.
Overeem.
It was Christmas week. I think it was the 30th December.
I know exactly where I was when I watched that.
Yep. Yeah, so it was a rare Friday because we didn't want to go New Year's Eve. It was a Friday pay-per-view. And on the 28th, the 28th, 27th of December, finally got ESPN to interview UFC fighters live on SportsCenter. And the pitch was Brock Lesnar, and they were already interested because of the WWE.
Yeah, it's numbers. Yeah.
It's like we got Alistair Overeem, who's even bigger, who's a destroyer.
Yeah.
We're going to have them both we've got to separate. It's all true. Like we had to separate them, put them in different rooms, but we'll pay for the feed. We'll broadcast to you. Anyway, Alistair was so funny because I used to call, Strike Force, Strike Fast and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ariel Helwani, like once when Scott Coker came over to the UFC, there's a nominal role. Ariel came over to and introduced me to Scott, And goes, hey, this is Ant Evans, you know, I'm working with him. And I was like, yeah, he goes, you always called Strike Force Strike Fast, didn't you, Ant? And I thought he was going to go further and say, and he always used to call you the son of Jabba the Hutt, which I thought. But I really didn't bury me that far. But yeah, but like Alistair, I would always like say, no, he sucks. He's not, you know, plenty in the UFC. But when I met Alistair, we just got on great. And he would ask me, like, give me some talking points. Like the press conference with Brock, give me some talking points. Because Alistair wasn't a natural showman like that. I was like, all you got to say is, like, let him do the talking, look terribly unimpressed. Because you've heard it all before. You've won all these championships. Just look completely unimpressed.
Yeah.
Sell it. Just look cool, which you always do because you're huge. You're big, huge, good-looking dude who can beat people up. And then just shake your head and go, I'm going to kick your ass back to fake wrestling. And then just put the mic down. That's all you got to do. Do something like that. Well, he did exactly that, and he got a huge cheer. Oh, Brock hated it. Brock hated, I'm going to kick your ass back to fake wrestling. Which Alistair did. He did. But because of that, and then he repeated it on ESPN. And we had a satellite time. You book like an hour of satellite, and then you go from ESPN. Then I think we're going to CBS, and then the score in Canada, and I think we were with Setanta Sports or something like that, or Sky Sports in England. Well, Brock got up, he ate it, tossed the headset out the room, and one of my guys came. He was, and Brock's leaving. So I tried to, like, hey Brock, he just walked through me like I was a ghost. In the car, gone. Shit, I've got like 5 more booked. I've got 5 more booked. I see Alistair getting up, and he's going, if he don't have to be here, I don't have to be here. I was like, hey, do you trust me so far? He goes, yeah. I was like, okay. I'm going to have to call Dana about this, like, now, before he hears from somebody else. Do you want me to? It's going to go 2 ways. One, Brock left. I'm going to tell him that. He's going to say, what about Alistair? I would like to say, for you, Alistair stepped up. Alistair delivered. Alistair doesn't like doing this stuff, but Alistair stepped up.
Dude, this guy's got, look at the tongue on this guy. This motherfucker. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Or I could say, well, he fucked off and left.
Yeah, he told me to fuck off as well. Yeah, but he was the second. It was the second fuck off.
Yeah. He goes, I'm going to step up. He goes, I'm going to do it for you. I was like, well, I don't pay your check. I'm do it for Day and do it for yourself. It's like, sell more pay-per-views. It's like, become a bigger deal. And so I called Dana, and I really pour it on. I was like, Brock left. He goes, you try and stop him? I was like, yeah. Like, I didn't want to die.
It didn't work. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, did you try and stop him? And like a little chuckle. Yeah, I tried. You know, I wasn't going to just, fucking Scooby-Doo the door and hold on to it. But Alistair stepped up. Alistair doesn't like doing this. He was by himself. He hated it. He can go back and forth, but he had to do all the talking, and he did great. And then afterwards, when Alistair came, hey, was that good enough for you, Ant? I was like, you were great. I was like, thank you so much, man. I was like, so much. Like, hey, this, Brock isn't going to get Italian off from Dana White. I would have. I have bosses. Brock can get away with being Brock. I can't get away with being Brock. I'm like, thank you. And then I was like, can you do me one more favor? He goes, got any more favors? I was like, can you do me one more favor? And he goes, yeah, sure. What do you need? I was like, kick the fucking shit out of this prick. And he goes, all right. And then he did. And now that Brock's coming back, like limping, holding his ribs and all fucked up. And I can hear, and Alice is behind him. He goes, hey, Ant, was that good enough for you? I'm like,
oh, yeah. Like, oh, yeah, look at the audience. Like he's not talking to you.
Brock was right there. Was that good enough for you? Yeah. Well, that was a terrible time. It was so big. The Overeem, I don't care what he was on. But they were both.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Toby Maguire when he was bitten by a radioactive spider. It looked like that. I'm like, well, they must have been bit by radioactive triceratopses.
Yeah.
Best poster ever.
Oh, best. It was amazing, wasn't it?
Dude, remember the ring card girl behind Alistair Overeem?
Yes. Yeah.
She's just like,
Yeah. Yeah,
It was
that
in a
was.
haze.
And now you got heavyweights who would just look like pudgy little welterweights. But
Yeah, fuck you, Sada.
yeah, fuck you, Sada.
Yeah. Jeff Nowitzki. Would you give, I don't know, any of the cyclists that you dug through their garbage with the same leeway as you would these UFC guys? I
I like
don't
Jeff.
think
Jeff was
so.
always good to me. You know, he's doing the job. I mean, like he was always say to me, he was like, Jeff would come around like, "Hey, Jeff," I was like, "Guess what?" And it's like, "Wow," I was like, "I'm taking Adderall now." It's like, "Didn't you tell me you're already taking TRTN?" I was like, "Yeah." I goes, "I'll just volunteer for anything. You know, just inject me."
Yeah.
I do like to whine. He goes, "Well, you know, we're not testing you."
So the name, image, and likeliness enter into UFC contracts in late November.
Yeah.
A lot of blowback in regards to it. Were you a part of having to deal with any of that?
No, I wasn't, and thank God. You know, I really do see both sides. I mean, UFC, remember, look, it's barely profitable at the time. You know, I'm in 2025 to the fighters deserve more. Well, some of them deserve a lot more, and some of them, you know, barely deserve what they make because they're bringing no money in.
Yeah.
No business is a charity. Um, but you know, UFC needed to do, you know, needed to make money, and that, you can't do a video game if you don't have their images and likenesses.
Yeah.
But if I was a fighter, I'm like, hey, you got to pay me for my image and likeness. I didn't. If what am I getting out of them doing a video game with me in it? You know?
You guys close out the year with UFC 92. Well, you also had a tough finale with Junie Browning. I have to assume you had very limited dealings with him.
Yeah, he was a nice kid. He was a nice kid.
Yeah.
You know? A relative short life because he
Yeah.
couldn't fight that much.
We've been trying to track him down forever as well. It's no good. UFC 92, December 27th, 2008. You guys close out the year with two tough champions fighting for a title. Forrest Griffin versus Rashad Evans.
Yeah.
Over 1 million pay-per-view buys as well. I think you guys had three.
Don't think that did 1 million either.
Really?
Don't think so. I mean, I think these things are out now, but I don't think it made them. I don't. There's a lot of things I see on Wikipedia. It's like 500,000 for this and
That's where I'm getting my
20,000 for
information.
that.
Yeah.
Not 20,000, but you know, 750,000. I'm thinking, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not from memory.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was a big one. Well, that was a big one.
It's such a cool period in UFC history. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your 2008.
Yeah. That was a fun year. It was a fun year.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, still doing 20 events, 19, 20 events a year.
Yeah.
You do that, and then it like hyper accelerates shortly after.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like in even 2012, 2013, 2014, the way I always expressed it's like, it's cool. I'm the audience here. Like I would watch this. I still watch UFC.
Yeah.
You know,
I purchased the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Like I'm not kidding. Like I don't steal music and I don't steal MMA pay-per-views. I don't do it.
Me too. Me too. You know, I get to write them off against tax, but you know, it's still coming out my bank. But I would say like I'm your audience, and as cool as this shit is, and I think it's cooler than everybody else in the room right now. Like I love this more than anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, no one's gonna get laid if they spend as cool as it is, it's just watching TV on a Saturday night. You can say, oh, they go to a bar, but most people don't go to a bar. They watch it at home, you know, because they want to be able to hear it. I was like, as cool as it is, no one's going to meet a girl or keep a girl if every single weekend is watching this. It's like,
bro,
got to give people time to recharge from it.
It's amazing the three of us have procreated.
It's true.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's like, it's not a traditional sport either. It's
Yeah.
like, no. We're a fight household. We like the fights. That's what we do in our house. Yeah.
Like it's just a bombardment. Like I love it as much as I've loved it for a while. I mean, even though I get dug out for bitching out some of the modern fighters and stuff, but I look forward the fights I watch. I look forward to now because I'm not watching all these dreadful, all these dreadful fights that just pumped out.
Yeah.
You know. And I was, oh, you missed out a great one of UFC France. I'm like, yeah, but you also have seen the 8 or 9 shit ones this year that I missed. So I still think
I don't buy the ones I don't want to see. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched like 12 a year.
And do before, like there was UFC pay-per-views I might not have wanted to see. I would buy those.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
No.
Yeah, I'm not doing it anymore. And
I might watch them more now that they're Netflix. I might not miss any.
Oh, it's not Netflix. I think it's like Paramount.
Is that what it is?
They're going to Paramount. Yeah.
Okay.
Netflix is boxing. Yeah. And you're taking us through memory lane here, and it's truly incredible. It really is. These are the ones Joey and I enjoy the most.
Oh, awesome.
This type of podcast. We do MMA trivia. I know I kind of pitched it to you in the past. We'd like you to read a couple trivia, either answers or questions, if you've got any yourself. We usually drop one a week. I think we're like half a year in right now. Right. Some of our more watch content is that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like you're a candidate. You check the boxes.
I did that. They did this UFC rewards, and I got roped into it. It's like we need you to write questions that are ungoogleable. I was like, well, if they're ungoogleable, you've got to do trick questions.
Yeah.
So I would do like, who was the first UFC world champion? Hoist Gracie, Ken Shamrock, no, Mark Coleman, and obviously the answer is Mark Coleman.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're like, no.
Wait, Joey, did you just hear that?
I count the super fight. I think Ken Shamrock was the first heavyweight champion. We just called it something different.
Well, there you go. It wasn't a world champion then.
Well, I mean, Dan Henderson won a medal.
It's a trick question on purpose.
Dan Henderson won a medal when he won his UFC tournament.
That's true.
But he wasn't a champion.
Yeah. You know, so we would do
should have been a title.
Yeah, trick questions like that. You know, that's we would do, and it was after I got about 20 questions, it got hard.
Okay, so I've been watching the UFCs 1 through 50. I'm at like 48 right now. Mm-hmm. I've probably got maybe 300 questions.
Wow.
Some of them are ridiculous. Like some of them are just like, what the fuck, man? Like Joey gives a little commentary at the end. Like, if you got this wrong, dude, you've had a good life. You're a virgin. Yeah, you got this wrong. You're a good life. You've had a good life. Yeah. So a guy named Mike Crane did like a little photo dump on mixedmartialarts.com when it was still up and running. And I grabbed a lot of his pictures and trivia questions. Like Igor Zinoviev had a cookie app named after him in Japan. I've got like the package of the cookie. I got we're good. We're good for about 3 years on trivia questions.
Right.
So I'm going to throw a couple your way. We would love to have you read a few, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And absolute pleasure. If somebody wanted to find you, what is the best avenue to do it?
I guess Twitter. I will never say X. It's Ant Evans MMA.
Okay. So, Joey.
Up there.
I'm glad we finally knocked out part 2 of our 12-part series. Good to see you again. Thank you.
I actually told I won't mention the name, but I told someone I was like doing 12. It's like, you ain't that interesting.
We disagree. Our audience disagrees.
Wait, dude. You know what? Was there any fallout to the?
Yes.
When I asked about the UFC Fight Pass thing.
Yes.
I had, dude. Go ahead with you, because I got something too.
Right, okay. So a friend of mine who used to work at the UFC no longer does. Now works in pro wrestling actually. He said he texted some people there and was like, "Hey, did you see Ant did this?" And they're like, "Yes, we're well aware of what he said."
Like, how soon after did you get that?
Days.
Okay, so about a week later, I get a phone call from somebody saying that they're an attorney.
Okay.
And they strongly recommended that I take it down or cut it.
I got a legal letter.
Well, so this isn't my first rodeo. Yeah. Like I've been sued before.
I've been sued.
Yeah, but through mixed martial arts. Like it's kind of a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You know, like when we interview the real founding fathers, I always mention, dude, I've been sued, been divorced. Not happening over here. So I just said, okay, I need an email from a law office. I need like It's stamped with a municipal stamp with a date on it. And I need a court date. You give me those 3 things, you won't see me in court. I'll just take it down. Wow, blah, 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 blah. I got my kid here. She's supposed to be sleeping. And I'm just like, you could be Crowley's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Prove to me you are who you are.
Yeah.
And I'll take it down. But if not, I'm not doing it. Like no. And I never heard anything back again.
Yeah. What were they saying was, I mean, we just covered all the rumors.
I mean, dude, it was,
what part was
I don't want to give up. Like, I can't give up a source because I don't know who they are, but I get text messages from random numbers where I know who it is by the way they message me.
Yeah.
The information's real.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I
just put it in my notes.
Yeah. Something like that happened because there was enough consistency in what I heard.
I had a guy from Abu Dhabi, Carlos Diaz, great guy, called me up. How the fuck did you know that? No one knows that. I'm like, dude, I got it from a random text message.
Yeah. I heard about it within days from multiple people, like everyone was talking about it.
So I called Joey up. I'm like, yeah, dude, I got like a legal phone call, but I don't know who it is. And I want to know who you are. You get me something that's stamped. Yeah. I want to know who you are. Like this right here, I don't know you.
I mean, I have a tremendously funny copy of the email Crowley sent out to not everyone at the UFC, but a lot of people at the UFC when he left, when he was calling Dana White all the names under the sun and stuff. Tremendously funny copy. Sometimes I pull it out and reread it.
He went out guns a-blazing, huh?
He went out pretty bitter. Yeah.
That's not really a good idea to get oof. He left with the door closed, I think is how you guys refer to that as.
Yes. Well, I think basically his ex-wife got him the job because she was represented by WME and now ex-wife, so
on him, man. Like I said,
he wasn't as well protected as he thought.
Yeah, that's on him. And Evans, you were an absolute pleasure. I'm going to be in Vegas October 10th and 11th. I'll probably be out there a couple days prior for the Mr. Olympia contest. I look forward to meeting you in person.
All right. You too, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Joey, always a pleasure.
See you part 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.